I'm Biruta Ansams. I'm a Latvian. I was born in Latvia, Riga. No, I was born in Boboks, Riga. What am I talking about? And I had a beautiful first years. My childhood was very nice. My father was a journalist and had a newspaper in Boboks, and I was very happy. But then the happiness came to the end when we had to leave the country because of my father's some people didn't like his work or something, and we had in 1944 we went to Germany and wandered all around Germany and Poland from place to place, where we settled for a few months in Pomerania, and then we had to flee again, and we finished up in Bremen until we had the war came to the end, and the German people we were staying were beautiful, and they wanted us to stay. But those days they were already these displaced people's camps, and so we went to one of the camps, and turned out that it was an ex-Russian prison camp, but it was now taken over by Polish people, and there were special things for Latvians and Lithuanians and Estonians, and we stayed there for a while, and then we were moved to another camp near Hanover, and we spent there most of the time until 1948, when we decided to come to Australia because immigration had started, and I was the one that suggested that we will go to Australia instead of any other country. And we arrived in Australia in 1948, October, and it was nice and warm, and went to Bathurst, and all the birds and the sun, and so it was really, and the beautiful blue sky. It was really lovely. And the first week I was already had to go to Bathurst to school, not knowing too much English, but you learn very fast. And then my parents were sent to work with actually me to some place near Sydney, which wasn't very nice. And we went back to Bathurst camp, and my father and mother worked in the camp, and then we moved to a place called Biruta, because that opened also as an migrants camp, and my parents finished the 2 years. My parents built a little house there, and we stayed there, and I went to school, and then after school the camp wanted somebody to work in office. I started there and went to a school, evening school, to do bookkeeping and typing and that sort of thing. And I worked in the camp, and then I hated the place. So I had to get out and have to go to Sydney. So the only way to get away from that terrible place was to get married. So I got married at the age of 18. And we lived in Sydney, and I lived in King's Cross for 5 years or 4 years, and it was quite exciting. And my first husband was studying in the meantime, and so life went on, and I got a very good jobs, and worked in advertising agencies, and did quite a few commercials, TV commercials. And one was a Gossamer with me, with a Latvian national costume in, people might remember, and many others, like Nescafe and New South Wales Lottery, and a couple of cigarette ads and so. And later on, I was there for quite a few years, and I decided I want to have a change. And started to manage boutique shops in eastern suburbs, and worked there, and then worked for David Jones and went to live in Sweden for a while, about a year and a half. And it was too cold for me. I was too used to Australian warm climate and came back to Australia. And then sort of started to work with another company. And I decided, what am I going to do? Yes, I opened a small restaurant, but that was too much of hard work for me. So I started to buy old units in Sydney and renovate them and sell them. At that time I met my second husband, and so we moved on in life, and I went, the second husband was also an engineer, and we just had to move from place to place with regards his work, and went to Darwin and Perth and Melbourne and back to Perth. And it was a very interesting place. This is me when I was 16, living in Greta with my parents. And everybody called me Ingrid Bergman at that time. And this is taken when we have already retired with my husband here in Gold Coast, some time ago, when we were just, we hadn't arrived. We had only been a couple of years when this was taken, and that was good. And then we met at the same function, I think. This is my friend. It's a nice photo. Yes, that's John Howard. And this one is just the ex-Prime Minister of Australia, because he's my friend. Tony Abbott. I like him. Well, yes, we belong to this to these liberals, or LMP, what they call them here, and I belong to Probus Club, and I belong to the Latvian Club in Melbourne, and I belong to the Lutheran Church in Brisbane, and I have quite a lot of friends here, a lot of Australian friends, I must say, quite a few Latvians as well, and do a bit of traveling. I like traveling, but I can't do much traveling now because I have a cat and nobody's to look after. There's nobody to look after him. But I'm going away again. I love traveling. I've been quite a few times back to Latvia, and I like being in Latvia. Just not all the time. In summertime it's beautiful, but not in winter. I don't like winters there. It's too cold for me, and I like the warmer climate, and I love living here in Gold Coast. I used to love Sydney. Sydney was beautiful, but now I prefer Gold Coast. Yes, it's at the moment it's a pretty lonely life. I'm lucky that I have my little cat. Otherwise, it would be very lonely because of my husband passing away a couple of years ago. And so we live in this house, and I go swimming every day in my pool, and life is good. I love it. I would like to be 20 again.